Music in Minecraft is amazing, but if you want to listen to anything other than the select few music discs, you have to make a huge note block chain using thousands of redstone. So that is why today I'm going to make a working piano inside of my hardcore world. And I'm really excited to build this because if you didn't know, I play piano in real life, so at the end of this video I'm going to try and play a few songs I know. But before we can do that, I need to figure out how to build a piano and how to make it actually work. So I hopped on Google Images and searched up a piano to try and find some inspiration, and then I tried my best to replicate it in Minecraft. And in the end, I'd say it ended up looking pretty good. But now that the design for the piano itself is fully complete, I need to figure out how to make it work. I could put pressure plates on each of these blocks and connect them to note blocks to make the music play, except you can't really play it properly like that. So I set off with my redstone knowledge to make a brand new system. So now if you throw any of these items in here, a few seconds later a note block will play and each of these items have got a different note, so you can play actual songs. And the system for it is pretty simple. Here we have just got a dropper that is always activating, and it just shoots an item out here onto an automatic storage system, and then when the item comes through it pushes this on here which activates this. And the reason I've got this piston and observer here is so that if you throw in 10 items at once it will constantly play the note instead of only playing it once. But now that the design for the piano is fully complete, let's head back into my hardcore world and collect all of the materials. And material wise, there's not too much I need to collect. And just from checking around my world, I've already got all of the redstone materials I'm going to need. And I've also got a decent amount of gravel and sand, except I want to fill up these shulker boxes up as well, just to make sure that I don't run out. I think all of this should be enough. But now that I've got all of the sand and gravel I need, I've got to go and collect all of the dye I need to turn it into white and black concrete. And I don't really need too much white dye, so to get it I'm just going to go around and kill a bunch of skeletons. And now I've got 32 bones, which I can then turn into a stack and a half of white dye and turn into all of the white concrete I'm going to need. But now that I've got all of the white concrete, I'm going to need to get some black dye to make the black concrete. But doing that is going to be a lot harder because killing squids is a lot slower than just killing a few skeletons. So instead of spending a few hours killing squids, I'm going to make a squid farm. And the good thing about building a squid farm is that it barely uses any materials, and when I say barely, I mean barely. It literally just uses a few water buckets and fences, so let's get to building it. And here it is. You'll probably notice I have done a decent amount of draining around it, and that is because it has not been working at all. I AFK'd here for about 30 minutes and I've barely managed to get half a stack of ink sacks. This is not because the tutorial is bad or anything. It did say you'd have to drain out the lake around it where you build it, and I have started doing that, but this has just taken so long that I think it'd be more worth my while to just go around killing squids. So basically I wasted a few hours doing this. And there we go, after about 20 minutes I have got a little less than 7 stacks of ink sacks, which is really annoying because this farm took me a few hours to do when I could have got all the ink sacks I'd need in literally like 20 minutes. But now let's craft all of the ink sacks into the black concrete. And there is all of the black concrete. But before we move on, I've got a super good idea for the squid farm. My grand amazing idea was that if I block the roof off, which you can't see because my render distance is set to 2, off with stone, then it would become a glow squid farm, but I guess that's not how it works. I'm super smart, aren't I? But now that I've got all the concrete powder I'm going to need to make my piano, I need to convert it into actual concrete so we can actually build with it. And I could sit here at my computer for 10 hours mining this in a nice little pond, but I actually have a life, so instead we're going to make a concrete converter. So hopefully it's not a huge waste of time just like the squid farm. And the reason I'm so sure it's not going to be a waste of time is because it'll probably only take me 5 minutes to build. And that is because I'm not going to build one of the huge ones that requires you to duplicate TNT, and instead I'm going to build one of the tiny ones that you just hold left and right mouse button, and then it'll just do all the work for you while you sleep. And seeing as I'm building the smaller version of the concrete converter, I might as well put it in a brand new building. And I think it would be perfect if I placed the building right here next to my wheat field, which goes along with the barn, so I can continue to spread my town down this area. And here it is. It is not the most grand thing in the world, but inside of it I have got a nice concrete converter. Also, the reason this trapdoor is here is so that zombies don't break down the door while I AFK. So now all I need to do is load all of this concrete up into the chest. But now if I stand here holding the left and right mouse buttons and press F3T and I let go of my mouse, it should continue to mine and place the concrete. So now all I have to do is sit here for a few hours. Alright, it has been about 30 minutes and I have managed to convert all of the black and white concrete powder into concrete. So now the last material I need to collect is a bunch of end rods for the strings inside of the piano. But collecting all of those end rods from different end cities would take hours, so instead I'm just going to use some iron bars. Editing right here, and I may or may not have forgotten that you can craft them with blaze rods, but let's move on. But with that, I've got all of the materials I'm going to need to build this working piano. But now that I've got all of the materials, I've got to figure out where I want to build it. And I was thinking I could build it somewhere here, because I've got DanTDM's lab here, so this area could be for unrealistic but still cool stuff that I want to build. And then up here is my main city area. And I don't really want this area to collide with this space over here because I've got future plans for this area. And I think that this area here is going to be perfect because it's a decent amount away from this area over here, so it won't interfere with my future plans, but it can still be included in this area when I build more stuff here. But before I can build here, I need to get rid of all of these trees and fix up the terrain a little bit because at the moment it's pretty messy. Here it is. I didn't really do too much, I just shaved off a bit of excess and then made it look a bit more natural over there. But now I think we are finally ready to build the piano. And here it is. You'll notice I've made a few differences, such as adding these pedals down here and also adjusting the height for this area over there. But the main mechanics inside aren't done because I haven't filled in all of these different hoppers with all of the things to play all of the different notes. But to do that, I'm going to need a few different dies. And now I've got all of these dyes, I'm going to combine it with a bunch of terracotta to make dyed terracotta, and also a bunch of gravel and sand I've got left over from earlier to make some coloured concrete. But now I need to decide whether I want to start it going from A or C, because that'll depend on what songs I can play on it. And I think I'm going to go from A because I think that it's a lot easier to play songs with that because I've only got a limited number of keys that I can actually use. But before I can use them, I need to convert all of this concrete powder into concrete. And now I'm going to rename all of this stuff so I know which notes they actually are. And here everything is labelled with its piano key, so now I just need to put them in the system. And now all of these different blocks of concrete are in the hoppers, so now it will automatically sort them so that it plays the right note. But it won't play the right note at the moment because all of these are the exact same one. So to fix that, I got a Vanilla Tweaks resource pack that tells you the exact piano note that a note block is. And here it is, so now I can look in here, see it's meant to be a G sharp and change it to that. And now all I have to do is do this for every single one of these. And there we go, now all of the note blocks are the right blocks. I did have to move it forward a bit because when the comparator was powering this, it was also powering the ones next to them, which made it sound really bad, so I just moved them back to fix it. And with that, I present to you the first time this song has ever been played on a working piano in Minecraft, Ode to Joy. And that was pretty cool, but the reason I think that this piano is so awesome is because you are not limited to a single song. You can play whatever song you want and notes just randomly. But now that the piano is complete and I've tested it to make sure it works, there's a few finishing touches I want to add. And the first thing I want to do is replace the iron bars on the piano. Originally they were going to be end rods, but then I realised that those are going to take way too long to collect, so I swapped them out for iron bars, except when you're super far away they all just blur together and it looks horrible. I mean, look at that, the entire thing is practically iron bars. So instead I'm going to try and swap them out for some chains, which hopefully look a lot better. Okay, I think that looks a bit better. It isn't exactly the colour I want, except it doesn't take up the entire piano base when you're flying up there, so I think it'll have to do. But now the last thing I want to change is just cleaning up these edges here, because at the moment they are pretty messy. And here it is. Is it perfect? Absolutely not, except it is going to do for now, seeing as the main star of the show is the piano itself. But that is going to do us for today, so if you enjoyed, then make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!